it's time for the main event. Let me bring to you the Hammer Man! Hold up! Knuckle up!
The film begins within the confines of a high-security prison, where a menacing gang makes its way toward the restroom. Inside, Isaiah Bone stands in silence, mentally bracing himself for what's to come. His fellow inmate, Danny, urgently warns him that the gang is infamous for their violent tendencies and ruthless murders. When the gang leader steps in, he confronts Bone for his refusal to join their ranks. In response, Bone removes his shirt, a clear signal that he is ready to fight.
You got to the count of 5. 1, 2, 3.
Culminating in Bone delivering a stark warning before leaving the gang members battered on the bathroom floor. Upon his release from prison, Bone arrives at a rented house managed by Tamara, a no-nonsense woman who makes it clear that she will not tolerate any trouble. Bone reassures her of his intent to keep a low profile. Shortly after, he finds himself at an underground street fight, where the atmosphere crackles with tension as spectators place hefty bets. The arrival of luxury cars signals the presence of James, a formidable figure in the fighting world, accompanied by his entourage. Pinball, an exuberant fight promoter, announces the next match featuring Hammerman, the undefeated champion who ruthlessly dismantles his opponent with brutal strikes, solidifying his reign. As Pinball exits the arena, he is startled to discover Bone already waiting in his vehicle. Mistaking Bone for a potential threat, Pinball panics until Bone calmly requests a fight against Hammerman. Skeptical yet intrigued, Pinball ultimately agrees after Bone offers his last $250. Meanwhile, James receives a call from Franklin McVeigh, a high-level arms dealer who orders him to eliminate a man named Daryl. Later, at a private dinner with Daryl and his girlfriend, James pretends to be friendly before shockingly stabbing Daryl in cold blood as music blares in the background. Back at his rental house, Bone maintains a low profile. However, James grows increasingly suspicious of him, particularly due to Bone's lingering gaze toward Angela, James' girlfriend. Pinball warns Bone to steer clear of eye contact with her, knowing full well James' possessive and violent nature. Despite this caution, Bone's mere presence begins to unsettle James. Eventually, Pinball secures Bone a fight against a massive opponent. Bone quickly identifies the man's sluggish movements and delivers a devastating blow that leaves the crowd in stunned silence. Impressed by Bone's prowess, Pinball decides to elevate his reputation by organizing a series of matches outside the city. During their travels, Pinball reveals Angela's tragic past. Once married and expecting a child, she was betrayed by James, who framed her husband for murder and took Angela and her child for himself. Later on, Bone and Pinball attend a female street fight where a fierce competitor named Veretta showcases her skills. In response to Bone's growing reputation, Pinball arranges yet another bout for him against one of Tattoo's fighters. As the fight commences, Bone delivers a devastating knockout blow that leaves his opponent reeling. Tattoo, taken aback yet driven by greed, decides to escalate the challenge by pitting two fighters against Bone.
Double enough?
Not satisfied, Tattoo then unleashes a group of 10 fighters in an attempt to overwhelm him.
triple?
Hell! You want your money, homie? You want your money, baby? Come and get it.
When Tattoo brandishes a gun in protest, Bone seizes the opportunity to take the cash and make his exit.
Ruthless.
One evening, Tamara observes Bone returning to the hotel, visibly injured, and she steps in to treat his wounds. Their conversation turns to the children she has been fostering for years, including Gerard, whom she has cared for over the past year. Meanwhile, James begins to delve into Bone's past, instructing Teddy, one of his men, to investigate further. The inevitable showdown arrives when Bone faces Hammerman in the ring. Prior to the match, Hammerman resorts to performance-enhancing drugs, seeking an unfair advantage.
Knuckle up!
Bone manages to knock Hammerman out cold, leaving James seething while Pinball revels in the victory. Following the fight, James invites Bone to dinner. During this visit, Bone notices Angela, who silently signals her distress. James takes Bone into his office, boasting about his connections with Franklin and proposing a lucrative $5 million fight against Franklin's undefeated champion. Bone responds ambiguously, neither accepting nor declining. Later that night, Angela confronts Bone at gunpoint. Instead of reacting with fear, Bone remains calm, revealing his knowledge of her connection to Danny, his late friend who was murdered on James' orders while in prison. Overcome with emotion, Angela confesses that James took her son. In response, Bone reveals he has found the boy and vows to reunite them. He then takes Angela to rehab for detoxification. Meanwhile, James meets with Franklin at his mansion to finalize details for the upcoming fight. Initially hesitant and displaying a racist attitude, Franklin ultimately agrees to host the match. As events unfold, Bone learns of Roberto's murder and links it back to James. Tamara is heartbroken by the news, and Bone offers her comfort in her time of grief. Shortly thereafter, James confronts Bone in the hotel room, threatening him to comply with his demands or face dire consequences. Bone refuses to participate in the fight organized by Franklin. In retaliation, James threatens Tamara and the children. Bone urges Tamara to flee with the kids and warns her not to return until it is safe. James sets a deadly trap for both Bone and Tamara. In a brutal confrontation, Hammerman assaults Pinball in an attempt to uncover Bone's whereabouts.
Where that nigga? Where that nigga Bone? Where that nigga Bone? Where that nigga Bone?
However, Bone arrives just in time, dispatching Hammerman and several of James' thugs with lethal efficiency. Meanwhile, James sends Teddy on a mission to eliminate Angela at the rehab center. When Teddy arrives, he is met by an armed Pinball and a waiting Bone. In a tense moment, James attempts to call Teddy but is met by Bone on the line, who delivers a stark warning. Enraged, James sends his location and demands a final showdown that very night. Bone makes his way to Franklin's mansion where an elite audience awaits the spectacle. As the match begins, Franklin's champion mocks Bone. Just as it seems victory is within reach, Bone takes an unexpected turn. He forfeits the match entirely. His true objective was never victory, it was to bankrupt James, who had wagered $5 million on him. Furious at this betrayal, James draws his sword in anger. Franklin insists on a fair fight and provides Bone with a weapon of his own. In a remarkable twist, Bone showcases his skill with the blade and defeats James in a fierce duel, severing his arm before making his escape as police sirens wail in the distance. James is arrested and taken back to the very prison from which Bone had recently been released. Meanwhile, Angela emerges from rehab clean and is joyfully reunited with Gerard. Though Angela invites him to stay with them, Bone quietly declines. His mission is complete, and he must now move on from this chapter of his life. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.